Welcome, everybody. So today is November 18th, 2024, and tomorrow is November 19th when Pluto starts to shift into Aquarius. So if you are somebody who follows energy, works within the energy, feels collective energy, then you will likely be already feeling some of the shifts happening. And if you're somebody who's interested, but not necessarily that involved, this is for you too. So we're not going to likely feel some crazy shift take place out of nowhere. It's going to be a gradual thing. Like anything else, when our energy starts to change, when we start to evolve, when we start to learn something new, or when we recognize a different part of ourselves, our energy starts to subtly change over time. And if we look back on our lives, most likely 5 years ago, 10 years ago, you look back at yourself and you're like, I was a completely different person. Maybe you weren't completely different. Maybe you were just subtly different, but there is a shift because as we grow, as we evolve, we take on a new feeling within ourselves. It's a feeling state. So in any case, this week gives you that subtle shift starting to emerge. It may look like an idea. It may feel like, for some people, it might feel like anxiety, right? And for some people, it might feel like excitement. And for some people, it might not feel like anything, but to know that there is an opportunity this week. In my newsletter that went out today, I spoke about this a little bit. Like, sometimes the beginning of the year, New Year's, we have resolutions and we set goals and we think about what we want in our life for this year ahead. I really feel like this week has the energy to support calling into reality those things that we choose to have as our resolutions, our intentions, our goals, however you want to say it. So I wouldn't wait for January 1st. I would sit right now and start to look at your life and say, how are things going? Kind of like we do in our jobs. You want to sit down and just kind of take an evaluation. Like, how are things going? What might I want to shift? What do I want more of? What am I ready to release? What am I holding on to that I've been holding on to for way too long? It really is just taking energy from me. You might see things if you're ready to evolve. Things may just start to shift on their own, and that energy is there for us this week. For those people who are very sensitive to seeing spirits or seeing multidimensional beings or seeing galactic beings, that's probably heightened starting this week. I wouldn't say that it's just for this week. I think it's moving into this new timeline, this new energy shift. I think that it's going to start to be heightened for you. So you may start to see new beings. You might start to see more of them. You might start to get more information from them. So that's really exciting if that's something that you do. I know that started happening to my sister who sees things all the time and just started seeing more of a galactic being. It's not something that I want. Like, I work in this energy field and I am so sensitive to so many things, but something that I've always asked since I was little is like not to see, which is so funny because so many people that I talk to when they're trying to get into their intuition and open their clairs, that's one of the things they all want is to see. I feel for myself, I don't want to be disturbed in the middle of the night when I'm sleeping by beings in my room. So it's something that I am pretty much hoping doesn't happen to me at night, but know that these things are possible starting now. I think we're going to start to have more insight into that maybe wasn't so recognized before. So that may be exciting to some people and not for others. So just so you know, I'm somebody who chooses, I'm okay seeing things during the daytime hours, but I kind of like it in my control. So usually I feel stuff, I get information, I have a sense of knowing immediately. Sometimes I'll hear things, but for me, the actual ability to see things sometimes becomes too much for my nervous system. It's a little bit disturbing. So you do have control over those things. Sometimes you have to like have some practice and learn about that, but you do have control over that for the most part. That being said, this week brings in all of that nice energy around looking outside of ourselves. So some of the other things that are coming up are really about taking into, it's almost like looking, like I was saying, New Year's, right? So it's like looking over the past part of your life. And are you doing what you set out to do? Do you feel aligned with how you're living your life? Do you feel aligned with the people that you've chosen? Right. So it's all about reevaluation at this point so that you can know where to adjust your life, your energy frequency moving forward. So what that might look like, is just kind of first journaling, if that's something that works for you. It may be a list, right? So it might be going into your feeling of how satisfied are you in the life that you're living. If you're a 10 and you're so lit up every day, amazing, great, go with that. Um, and I would say just keep flowing with it because it means that you're on your path, right? You're in alignment to the way your soul wants to be. But if you're feeling like you've hit a wall, you're blocked, or something stagnant, sometimes we just need to rest and find stillness. But it's also in the stillness to just sit with that and see what comes up for you. And if you are feeling really frustrated, like, yeah, I know I should be doing more. I know I should be doing something else. Yeah, I don't feel myself in any of the communities that I'm in or aligned to anything that I'm doing. I'm completely burnt out. I would say taking a break maybe first, but then definitely start to make a list or journal about what would your life look like if you were living it on purpose or the way that you intentionally chose to live it, and even if you are super satisfied with your life right now, is there anything that you need more of, right? So when we look at our lives, the first place that instinctually as humans we tend to go, especially in the Western world, because we're driven by capitalism. So the first place that we usually go is the things around us. What does my external environment look like? Do I have the house that I want? Do I have the people that I want? Am I in a relationship? Like I have. That's fine. Start there because that's the easiest place for us to start. So start there. What do you have? What do you want more of? What would you change? What would you release? How can you bring this in? Right? Like we usually will go to our survival, which is our comforts, which is the people in our life and the things in our life. Once you're satisfied there, I would then move it a little. Move into what are you being a service to? How are you serving the greater community? How are you serving the collective consciousness? How are you working towards a universal love, a universal connection? What are you being asked to do from a higher level consciousness and that you're stepping into, even when it's scary, right? How are you using your voice to serve others, to help others, to be out into the world? So, what are you doing outside of yourself? Because that's really what we're moving into when we talk about consciousness and creating a more impactful, fuller life. It's not so much what we have, it's what we're being of service for, and how that then fills our soul. Because we could have all the things in the world and we would feel good because we're not scared. We're not living in survival, right? Because when you're in survival mode, you can't go into consciousness mode. So, yes, it's important to have your needs and your wants met first so that you then can have space to start to surrender into being of service. But I would also say to you that if you start to work of service, to step into that space of, what is my soul here for? What is my soul here as a service to? And what does that look like when you start to work in that space of flow? Because that's what it feels like. You will have the things that you think you need right now, because that's just the way that it works. So, whichever way feels comfortable for you, but just know that sometimes if you're striving to fill the have of the survival earthy self first, it can become a distraction. So, obviously, if you're in a place right now where money is tight, you're not sure where you're going to live, things feel really unstable, put some energy into creating stability. But if you're in a place where things are okay and you still feel like you need more, move into a place of greater good and service. And what that might look like in the beginning, it may look like meditation and asking more questions. How can I serve the community, the consciousness? How can I be helpful to working towards an energy shift? It may be going to volunteer somewhere, right? Because when we're physically of service in our communities, that can lead us to something as a breakthrough in our greater consciousness, because our souls are working outside of ourselves. So the message here is really looking at your life as it is now and not waiting for somebody to come in and make a shift to change it to some, I don't even know what, but like, I feel like we've been given these, they're not wrong, but they're just these images of, if we go to yoga every day and meditate every day, we're better than, or in a place of deeper soul connection. For some people, that's true. But I think that right now, with this shift that's happening, it's really like, can you move outside of yourself so you're not waiting for somebody to change things for you, but that you also are making changes happen, so that you are, in fact, stepping into being part of this bigger web, instead of waiting for the web to be formed so that maybe I want to be over here. That feels better for me to be in this space. I'm just saying that maybe right now, where the energy is, you just step into it and you start to co-create, creating this world right now with others. And so this is going to make sense to people on different levels, this message, because there's a message for people who are still working within a human 3D earthy dimension, which is fine. And that's going to feel like getting your needs met, trusting, reaching out, reevaluating, deciding how you want to live the rest of your life, or at least the next year of your life, and then making steps to make that happen. So that's one level. And the next level is for people who are feeling this message in a different way. And that's going to be on a bigger platform, because that's going to be, how do you challenge yourself to start to look beyond just the needs of this particular earthly existence, to a place where you understand that your soul has been working towards something over lifetimes. And now you're in a place where you're being called to serve in a bigger way. And in that way, you need to be open to the messages coming in for you. And sometimes it might feel too much or too scary to take those risks and to be seen in such a way. But the message is that it's time. It's time to start to do that. So whichever way is feeling that you are aligned to be called to, this is the week to start to evaluate where you're going to step, what you're going to call in, and how you're going to start to redesign things for yourself. So as I said in the newsletter, it's very much about Evaluating where you've been and starting to make steps forward and to start stepping into this place of being a creator, because you don't want somebody to create this life for you. You want to start to be a creator in the mission and creating the life that we all want to see. So be a part of it instead of an observer. And so that's really the big message for this week. So I think it's multi-layered. You're going to feel what you need from that, and hopefully it resonates in some way. As always, if you're listening to this and it's not during the week of November 18th, this is the time that you were meant to listen to this message. So time is really a human construct, as we know. So the message you will receive when you're meant to receive it. Remember to like and subscribe, and I will be here again next week.